Hey everybody, welcome to another live over here on the channel. I appreciate everybody who joins every Sunday. I'm going to check my audio, make sure it sounds okay. So when we have people watching it back, it doesn't sound too crazy. And this is just going to be real estate chat information. If you need to know questions, X, Y, and Z, let's see if this audio sounds okay. Let's make questions, sure. X, Y, and Z. Let's see if this. All right, it sounds okay on my end. If anything happens, you guys just let me know. And so we should be good to go. So like I said, it'll be chit chat. It'll be if you are looking to understand a little bit more about the market. So we're going to talk about a plethora of different things. We're going to talk about, let me read them off to you so you guys can know. We're definitely going to say if you have any questions about the housing market, if I can answer them, put them in the chat, or if you're watching a replay, put it in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you as well. If you're new to the channel, before we start everything, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're a subscriber already, I appreciate you guys taking the time out and subscribing to the channel and also joining in the live discussions and any comments afterwards. I truly appreciate the support. And then also don't forget to like the channel. If you see the video afterwards, there might be a shooting star beneath of it. It's called a hype button. Please hype the video. So what it does is when you hype and when you like, it kind of spreads the content throughout. The YouTube platform also allows you to engage in more content that's similar if you like real estate content. So it helps, both sides per se. So we'll talk about any questions you have tonight. Just, put them away in the chat. I'll try to do my best to answer them. We'll also, I'll show you the difference between using a different platform to kind of look at houses. If you're looking to possibly purchase right now, or even if you're selling your house, this is some insight that you may or may not know. And I don't know if you guys explore these different platforms. So we'll explore the difference between Zillow and homes.com. So I like homes.com. And Zillow is good too because they have two different they have different things that pop up on their sites that allows for great exploration. And I'll tell you why I like it. You guys can tell me your thoughts as well. And then also we will talk about the truth behind real estate agents. So it's a young lady that is on YouTube. She's a big YouTuber. Her name is Shelby Church. She has a twin sister called Monica Church, and they talk about real estate. And so I enjoy watching their content. I don't know if you guys know them, but she put a video out a couple months ago and talking about why she wouldn't recommend someone to become a real estate agent. So we'll kind of dive into truth around that. These are things that I kind of have conversations with my dad and everything all the time. And Dad, you commented in the comments and not the live chat, so you're gonna have to comment again. It popped up on my phone that it came in the comments and not the live chat. And then we'll dive into how to kind of predict if mortgage rates will go up or down. And we'll have even a conversation about foreclosures because I've been getting a lot of people running up to me lately or emailing me, calling me on the phone, want to have conversations about foreclosures and how they work. So I'll kind of talk about them in the state of Georgia. If you're in Georgia, every state works differently as far as how you go about paying foreclosures. And actually, let me turn off this music because I don't even know if you guys can hear me. And so we'll just dip and dive into different topics, different conversations outside of the norm because right now real estate is kind of seeing the same cycle, right? We're still in the same, we're kind of seeing a repetitive pattern. It's very redundant. So I figured why not just touch on other topics. And that's what we've been doing lately on this channel, just kind of drawing into other things. So before we start, as usual, let me see where the rates are at. So a good tool to look at rates if you guys want to. You don't have to. You can definitely go to Mortgage Daily News, mortgagedailynews.com. You can also download the app on your phone. So I have this app on my phone. Mortgage Daily News has an actual app. So if you have an iPhone, you can go into the Apple App Store and download it. Or if you have an Android phone, you can go into Google Play and download it. It's called Mortgage Daily News, and they have an app. And what it does is it'll keep you informed if you are in the market to buy a house. And even if you're a seller trying to sell your house, because I had a conversation with the seller as well, where she said she wasn't listing her house because the rates were too high and she wasn't going to get enough buyers. That's how she felt. So she don't want to list her house. So it could possibly work in both ways, depending on how you look at it. All right. So let's go through it real quick. It says the 30-year conventional fix is at 6.64. The 15-year is at 6.19. So these are both conventionals. The 30-year jumbo is at 6.82. The ARM is at 6.23. FHA is at 6.21. And VA is at 6.23, 30-year for both FHA and VA. As you guys can see, that rates have softened. Let's take a deep dive into where FHA rates are at real quick. As you guys can see, we're trending up and down in the mid sixes. We were as low as July 1st, 6.17. Then we went up to 6.25, and then we're softened again back down. And we can see, because if you guys might be hearing the headlines or the news articles saying that rates are still lower from a year ago, which is true. However, you know, everyone is still feeling the burn from the mortgage rates being up. But as you can see, we're in 2025, where we're at today is July. So let's go to July 2025, March. So we can see where the rates were at around this time. Let's just say July. So around this time, rates were at what, 6.57. The MBA, the MND was at 6.43. So as you can see, the trending line rates are down, where it went down, went back up, but they're still, as people will say, they're still lower than it was last year this time. However, people still are feeling the strain of the rates compiled with the high unaffordable cost of purchasing a home right now. But yeah, so you might see headlines saying that rates are down. So just so you know. All right, so now let's go into, so I don't want to click through all of them because there's no need for us to see them all. But let's go back to this right here, the today's mortgage rate. So this will, as we all know, this is a generic national average. This does not mean your rate will be this. It could be up, it could be down. It's all factored in with your own layers and what your own personal items, per se, that are in your life: debt to income ratio, credit score, everything like that. All right, so let's understand a little bit about how rates kind of move, mortgage rates. As you guys know, it was a lot of talk in the news amongst a lot of people at one time that mortgage rates kind of went hand in hand with the federal, with how the feds kind of controlled the rates, per se. And as you guys know, as you keep learning in regards to real estate, mortgage rates more follow the 10-year treasury, but also the UMBS 30-year. So the UMBS means Uniform Mortgage Bond Security. And we are going to learn a little bit about it, because this is how you could possibly predict where the rates might go, as far as if you are looking to lock in a rate. Say if you're already under contract, right, with the house, and you're talking to your lender, and this might have you think like, okay, ask the lender. You can ask the lender as well. They should know this, but you can ask them, say, hey, I just went under contract. Do you think I should wait and kind of float the rate before I lock it in? Or you think I should lock it in? Which way do you think the rates might go? So sometimes lenders will kind of tell you where they predict rates might go, because if they're looking at this, they might know where it would go. So it's called the UMBS 30-year. Let me make it bigger. I'll kind of make it bigger so you guys can see what I'm talking about. It's over here on the side. So this is what you want to focus on. Uh-oh, did I make it too big? Sorry, you guys. Sorry, I made the screen too big that it disappeared. All right, so if you are downloading also the Mortgage News Daily app, or if you're just looking at it online and you don't want to download it, this is what you want to focus on. You see these two numbers, this up here, the UMBS 30-year 5 right here. And then this is the 10-year treasury, right? So mortgage rates more correspond with fees. They don't correspond with the feds as far as them lowering rates up and down. As we know, the feds deal with like short-term rates, right? Credit card debt, car note debt, different things like that. They work on inflation. Their whole job is to keep inflation down, to make sure jobs do not, get lost, per se. They're focused on that to try to make sure the economy is healthy enough. And then the 10-year treasury or the bond market typically would kind of go hand in hand and correlate with so. But now, as we've been seeing lately, and it's happened before, where the bond market does not always correlate with what the feds are doing. So because of that, you really want to keep your focus on this 10-year treasury and this 30-year UMBS. So again, if you're just joining now, the 30-year UMBS stands for Uniform Mortgage-Backed Securities, okay? And what the Uniform Mortgage-Backed Securities are, we will dive into it so you can understand it. It's like a standardized liquid kind of investment bond backed by home loans, right? Similar to how the treasury is a bond market where you got investors, they invest into it. they throw, money into buying bonds and to kind of throw some type, almost like you can say stock market, I'll say. They put money in to buy bonds, and then if they feel like the market is, not responding correctly, or if it doesn't make sense because the volatility and different things are happening, they might slowly but surely pull out of those bonds. And so that's how you get the shift of where where the mortgage rates are going. Hey, what's going on, Croy? I am doing good. Hopefully you are well and you are nice and warm and not too sweaty down there in Florida. But I'm doing well. We are just talking about how you can possibly predict where the mortgage rate might go. Because again, this chat is going to be, I called it real estate secrets everyone needs to know. So these are some secrets, some tips, and we're going to get into conversations. If you have any questions, you can always answer. I'm always here to answer it to the best of my ability, but just let me know. But so this is a secret that outside of the first secret, as far as understanding how mortgage rates are predicting where they could possibly go, and also having that conversation with your lender to say, hey, do you think it's best for me if you go under contract, right? Because typically lenders don't lock your rate until you go under contract. So you can say, hey, do you think it's great for me to lock the rate now? Should I allow it to float? What do you think I should do? Because the lender might say, I think it's best for you to lock the rate because they're seeing what this UBMS 30 years at in the 10-year treasury. Or they might say, hey, you might be okay with floating it right now because I don't really see, the rates look kind of healthy, or they're not kind of volatile right now. So this is a secret way to do it. So if you download mortgagedaily.news app on your phone, or if you just go to the website every week per se, you can kind of predict possibly where rates are going to go by looking at the UMBS 30-year at the top here and the 10-year treasury. So as you guys can see, the negative right here, negative 0.14. And then you have the treasury at +4. So the treasury basically means that it went up, and then also this went negative. So what it's saying is that possibly, doesn't always happen, but possibly on Monday when the market opens again, rates might go back up because we have a negative 0.14 and we have a plus on the treasury bond. So we might see rates jump back up because of these numbers. So if you was to see this right here, say plus, let's just say it said like plus 15, and it was green, then that means rates will possibly soften throughout the day. So they might go down within the day before the market closes, or they might go down tomorrow. And then if you see, typically this kind of goes hand in hand with the treasury. So when this is green, this will be green too, and you will see a negative here, and meaning that the 10-year treasury went down, and you would see a plus here. So so you'll see a plus on one angle, you'll see a negative on the other angle. But if you look at that, you can typically see where the rates are going to go. That's what I look at. That's what I look at. Hey, what's going on, Lang? Hey. He said, awesome. It's storming right now. I'm cooking dinner. Okay, well, hopefully it don't get too crazy. It stormed in Georgia, and it stormed up in Philly and everything. And I saw it got really crazy. Got trees fell down. Everything happened. Who is this? Okay. And so we are going to now understand a little bit more about the UMBS 30-year. Again, so what it stands for Uniform Mortgage-Backed Security. It's essentially investment bonds backed by home loans. And what they do is that the UBS is a bundle of residential mortgages that is packaged together and sold to investors, either by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Okay. And if you guys don't know what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they are in the secondary market. So typically they buy mortgages after you go and you originated with a lender. Your mortgage is originated with a lender, and typically if that lender does not, I don't want to say store the loan, but if they don't, what is it called again? Jesus. If they don't, so because you got some lenders or some banks where they'll basically hold on to the loan and they'll never sell it off. They always say a certain term for it, and I'm getting blank. But basically you have some people that don't ever sell off the loan. They keep it for the life of the loan, and your loan doesn't get sold off. And then you also have what happens with like veteran loans, typically FHA loans. They'll sell them off to the secondary market, and then it'll go to Fannie and Freddie Mac. And okay, so hopefully that makes a little sense for you guys in regards to that. And then we'll get a little deeper into understanding how the UBS, how it acts as like a giant recycling system for mortgage money. Establishing, so I'm going to read you guys a little bit of what it says here so you guys can understand a little bit more about it. So it says, Let me see. I don't know if you guys can see it on my screen, but I'll read. It says UBS acts as a giant recycling system for mortgage money, establishing a direct connection between global investors and individual home buyers. So let's break it down. It says you get a loan, you close on a home with a local lender, which I just stated earlier. The lender sells the loan, which we talked about, to free up cash. So lenders, they sell your loan because in order for them to originate or create another home loan, they have to sell it off in order to, like they said, free up the cash to then turn around and originate another home loan for the next home buyer. And so they sell it off to the secondary market. The lender sells your mortgage to Fannie and Freddie. So Fannie and Freddie, then it gets sold. It says the loan is then packaged, which Fannie or Freddie bundles your mortgage with thousands of other to create a UMBS, which is a uniform mortgage bond security. Make sure I'm saying it right. I want to make sure I said it. I mean, sorry, not bond. Back security. I was like, I know it's not bond. Back security, which are basically bonds. So then they create that bond, and then investors buy the UMBS. So Wall Street investors, pension funds, central banks, they buy these securities for it's almost like I said, it's almost like Wall Street. It's almost like the stock market. They buy these loans for purposes of doing so. Everyone is texting me now. Sorry, you guys. Who is this? People are texting me. I'm like, it never fails to happen when I get on a live. I get a bunch of texts that I didn't get all day. So I apologize. So they sell the loans, and then it says the cash is reused. So it says the money from those investors flow back to the lender, allowing them to fund a loan for the next home buyer, which we stated. All right. And then again, how we understand where we can predict mortgages might go. If we see, one more time, if someone's just joining us now, if we see this, the UMBS 30-year 5 right here, if we see it at a plus, typically you can predict that that the mortgage rates might trend down. If you see this at a negative and it's green, it's going to trend down the 10-year treasury, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And we're going to move on to the next because I don't want to stay too long on the loans. Again, I'm not a lender. So if you want more information around this information, definitely talk to your local lender. They should be able to advise you in regards to this information of how to predict where loans are going at. And again, have these conversations. And when you're talking to lenders as well, and you're shopping around your rates, because everybody nowadays wants to shop around their rate. When you're shopping around your rate and you go to lender and you're like, because I hear most people say, I want to get the cheapest rate. Lenders will then send you over a rate that might beat the other lender's rate. If they say, you say, hey, I'm shopping around my loan, I got some quotes from other lenders as far as the rates. And if they're like, oh, well, what was the rate? And you say, oh, it was a 6.3. And they're like, oh, I could beat that. And then let's say they send you over a 5.99. You're like, oh my God, they beat the rate. But no, you need to understand how did they get to that rate. So I would tell you to make sure you ask them, is it a par rate? So PAR, is it a par rate? And so a par rate means there are no fees or points attached to the rate. That because if they beat the rate, but there are premiums or any type of fees attached to it, then you're actually paying for that rate on the back end when you close. So you're paying more in those lender fees, origination fees, those points for that rate. So they might make you feel like they beat the other rates, but you might be paying for them to beat that rate. So be very understanding of how they got there. So hopefully that makes sense, you guys. But again, have more conversation with your lender. 96 here, just finished another iced tea. Oh, wow, it's hot over there. It's hot here too. So I got in Florida, it's storming with Croy, and then in Colorado, it's hot, 96 degrees. So we are all experiencing some off the wall weather. And what type of iced tea you drinking? I like to drink green tea, sweet tea sometimes, cold Texas tea. I don't know what type of iced tea you drinking. Regular lemon iced tea. All right, so that is to understand and how to possibly predict where mortgage rates can go. Hopefully that helped you guys. Hopefully I didn't bore you. All right, so our next real estate secret or conversation that I want to have with you guys is looking at the difference between Zillow and homes.com. So my favorite website to go to lately has been homes.com. He said Twinnings English breakfast. Okay. I've never had that type of I never had that brand. I guess that's a brand, Twinnings English Breakfast. Is that a brand of iced tea? I'm guessing. I could be wrong. Let me know. But if so, I never had that brand before. So, all right. So I like to explore, like I said, homes.com and go back between homes.com and Zillow when looking at a property. So now let's go to home. Let's go to Zillow first, because a lot of you consumers, they like to use Zillow when searching properties. So I'm going to share this Zillow listing real quick, and I'm going to tell you guys the difference. Okay, let me make this bigger because I can see it on my end, but y'all probably can't see it. Can you see it now? Oh, did it get too big? Okay, there we go. He said it's quite British. Okay, okay. It's a British tea. Is that what they was fighting for when they had the tea party, and they was fighting for the taxes on the tea? And now everything in America is taxed. All right, so as you can see on Zillow, I'm not going to bring up the actual address. Oh, well, they saw the address now. But I'm going to compare the different properties. The address might come up at the bottom. It is what it is. Hopefully, they don't flag us. But let's just go through and review the difference between Zillow and Homes.com. And I suggest that you guys use both websites. Use Zillow and Homes.com as a consumer to be able to kind of find out a little bit more information. And like I said, I like Homes.com because, baby, it gets all up in your business. And I'm going to show y'all what I mean by all up in the business that y'all might not realize. And I just like, so right here on Zillow, you can see this home is single family, built 1963, acres, 2.9 acres, $90 per square foot, no HOA, Zillow's estimate, blah, blah, blah. You can tell you how long it's been on the market right here. It tells you the agent who listed the property, right? There is no phone number here though, right? So be mindful, there's no phone number here. However, over here it says contact agent, request a tour. When you click request a tour, contact agent, that doesn't go to this agent that's listed on the Zillow listing. It goes to another agent, because if you guys don't know, agents and brokerages pay for leads through Zillow. So once we put our information into Zillow as an agent, it then gets disseminated through the IDX technology platforms to Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, all these third-party platforms within 24 hours, actually a couple hours before 24 hours. And then you have in Zillow, in turns, they try to, they're making money from every which way. They then partner with the MLS to get our data. It gets sourced to the platform. And then they end up selling those leads, per se, to brokerages and agents pay for it. So when you click request tour or contact button, you're not going to get the listing agent of said property. You're going to get another agent who bought that lead in that zip code or that area or that brokerage. Okay. All right. So we scroll down here. You see where it's located at. You can see the times, per se, has all that. It gives you the facts and the features. It shows you all that wonderful stuff. Great, great, great. You get the property lot information. You get features. You get construction, all those different things, the year built. You get utilities, energy, you get HOA information. You get the subdivision information. You get financial and listing details. So it tells you about the 90 square feet, talks about assessed value of it, annual tax amount, the day on the market. Okay. Right here it says contact a buyer's agent. So that's what you're doing when you click request a tour or contact. This is what you're ultimately doing. You're contacting a buyer's agent. All right. Right here, Zillow also has this new part where they have offer insights, strong, competitive, moderate, weak. I do not use this because I say put an offer in wherever makes sense to you. So, Coach Texie said, looking forward to as some tea season start late September. Okay. I have to let me know. I've never had that before. So it says right here, your ability, blah, 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 estimate market value. And then right here, this is why I love Zillow. Price history, it tells you everything, like when the person bought it. You see they bought it. They listed it here. They bought it here for $75,000 in 2019. And then it shows you like all that information, right? So when they sold it right here. So be mindful of this section too, right here, because you're going to see something different on, I don't know for this one. I might have to bring up the other listing because the other listing kind of goes in detail, but be mindful of like this area too, like this whole area on Zillow. Okay. So Zillow, I like this right here. As far as I'm telling you that property taxes, again, ability of payment. So right here, you can then take what the amount is, Zillow always puts in, just like homes.com, they put in a 20% down payment. So they're basing this house. That's why it says $949 a month, because every website basically takes a 20% down payment based off of a conventional loan. So when you see these properties online and it says that your estimate monthly mortgage could be this amount, and you're like, oh my God, I can get this house. It's $300,000, and all I got to pay is $1,900 a month for my mortgage. But you don't realize that they're taking 20% using a conventional loan, putting 20% down with a credit score of 720 and above right here, right? So it's going to be different for you. And then also around here, you see how they didn't put no mortgage insurance down here, because again, when you use a conventional and you pay 20%, you don't get mortgage insurance. So if you go lower than that, you're going to get mortgage insurance, right? So that would be a number that would pop up here. Property taxes might be higher or lower depending on where you're at. Home insurance is definitely going to be higher than $48 unless you have, I don't know. Nowadays, and all these disasters happening, home insurance higher than that. You don't get no HOA, and then utilities are not included. So again, they don't include those things outside of, that. All right, so this is using Zillow down payment assistance. They allow you to know that there's 2 programs available, up to 1,200. No, Lord Jesus, I can't talk. Up to 12,500. You can click on that. They'll ask some questions around that, how to get your down payment stuff. So that's a good thing with Zillow too, if you're looking for down payment. Climate risk. This is what I like about Zillow too, is that the neighborhood, you can see the neighborhood, and that's how I go about also exploring comps in the neighborhood. So if you are a buyer looking to buy a house and you want to see how to read what the neighborhood is saying, the yellow dots right here, these are closed. They mean that these houses sold and they closed. So these comps have sold and they closed. So you'll just click on it and then you'll scroll down and you'll see when it closed. And if it says we're in 2026 now, so if it says it closed 2026, that's probably comparable if it matches with the same type of subject property that you're looking at. If it doesn't, then it could possibly not be a comparable. So the appraiser might not use that comp. Then you see all this stuff about the schools, and all that. All right. So now we are going to now take this. This is the same property, and we're going to go to homes.com. So we saw all that details. If you guys are joining us now, what we're doing is we're comparing Zillow versus using homes.com. I suggest that if you are a buyer in the market, even a seller, you should be looking at this information too, what kind of populates on these websites. But if you are a buyer, I suggest you use both of these websites. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Zillow when it comes to this estimate and all those things, because I think people read that stuff incorrectly. However, it's definitely a great tool for people who just want to know the basics of real estate. All right, so this is the same property. Is it big enough? Let me make it a little bit bigger for you guys. So we go into the same property, and then I'm gonna break another property down on homes.com too. Because like I said, homes.com get a little bit more into their business. All right, so now I don't know if you guys see the difference. Let me know if you see the difference yet. What's the difference between Homes and Zillow? The first difference I would tell you guys is that on homes.com, the listing agent is David, and his phone number is here. You can contact the listing agent directly. So if you don't want to use a buyer's agent, because nowadays everybody's saying they don't like agents, and you want to go straight to the listing agent, I don't suggest it, because the listing agent does not protect you or does not have no fiduciary responsibility. Their client is the seller. However, some people feel more comfortable going directly to the agent. They feel like they'll be able to save money that way. So I cannot tell people what to do and what's the best way for them to do what they want to do, right? However, you can, if that's your goal and you are not going to new construction sites where you're seeing an on-site agent who works for the builder, but you really want to contact this listing agent of this house, if you go to homes.com, the first advantage outside of Zillow is you will get the listing agent's actual phone number right here, okay? All right, so that's the first thing that I like about homes.com. Again, you can see David, you can see Plains Realty Partners, that's him. You can see this corresponds with his name, and you can also send him a message through homes.com. So you can contact the listing agent directly, which you cannot do on Zillow. Sometimes on Zillow, they'll put the agent's phone number down there underneath the listing. Sometimes they won't. But if you click the contact or tour button on Zillow, it'll send you to another agent. So that's the first advantage. All right. So if you're looking to go straight to listing agent, and you don't want to get another agent because you're like, I don't want to do that. All right. So again, homes.com has something similar with Zillow, where you see like the neighborhood, all that stuff, which is wonderful. Google Maps. explore your area. It gives you these pictures of the area. This is what I like about homes.com too. It gives you like these luscious, like looking pictures. Great, it makes everything look so pretty. So this is in Macon, Georgia. Let's see what else it gives you that I like. It gives you like the average household income around there is about $71,000. It tells you how many homes kind of sold. It tells you the percentage of renters in the area, the college grads in the area, the median age in the area. So I like that. It gives you a little bit, like I said, it gives you a little bit more insight. Let's see what else. Of course, it gives you all these other wonderful things too. Factors. It tells you environmental factors, the calmness, the moderate fire factor, the medium flood factor, severe heat factor, major wind factor, moderate air factors. Like Zillow kind of pulls some of this information too. So I just like the way homes.com makes it look. All right. It tells you, again, the total principal amount. As far as, so this is if you want to use a mortgage calculator. Again, like I say, it's similar to Zillow. Homes.com does the same thing too, where they take 20% down. But right here, it tells you that it's 20% down. So right here, it says 20% down. So you can change it if you're doing FHA, 3.5% down. Let me see, 5%. Oh, well, not letting me put the 5. Sometimes it'll do, but I guess you want to act silly today. But anyway, let's just put 3% down. So you put 3% down, and then you can change your interest rate here as well, 30-year fixed. And then it'll tell you, how much that would be down. It then breaks down how much your monthly mortgage would be. It also turns around and see, now that I put 3% down, not 20% down, I get the PMI, which is the private mortgage insurance. And you see how they put 121. If I was to put 20% down, back to 20%, oh shoot. Let me know. I know you guys probably, I don't know if this bores you or not. Let me know. I just figured out this tools to help you. But now you see how the private mortgage insurance goes to zero. Because again, when you put 20% down, you don't need private mortgage insurance. And that's based off of conventional. So this whole mortgage calculator that they have on the website is based off of, I think it is this whole thing's based off of conventional. So you have to kind of plug in the numbers for FHA and all that stuff. But I could be wrong, but I think it is. So if I base it off of them, you see how your mortgage payment changed to $881 and they took the premium out. So let's go back to 3%. So you guys can see what most people end up putting down, because most people use FHA and put 3.5% down. Or if you was to do, let's say you were a veteran, you put 0 down. 0 down, it would be 1,190. They added the private mortgage insurance in here, which veterans, I don't think they use it. No, veterans don't have private mortgage insurance. Let me take it out. Let's put a 0 here. All right, that's it. We're doing that as if it was a VA loan. And then you can also click here like loan amortization, which I like too, because if you guys don't know, in the one video we played around with the loan, with the amortization, it'll tell you like how much, you're paying a month, how long it'll take to pay off, if you want to add extra monthly payments and all that stuff to pay it off quicker. So we're exploring all that. Hey, what's going on, Donna? So thank you guys for joining tonight. What we're doing tonight is we're just exposing some real estate secrets that everyone needs to know, whether you're a buyer, whether you're a seller, understanding how to look at these websites, understanding how to predict possibly where mortgage rates are going. So we talked about that earlier. If you want to go back to the earlier video, you can read the UMBS, which is Uniform Mortgage-Backed Securities, along with the 10-year Treasury. So you want to read the 30-year UMBS along with the 10-year Treasury to predict which way mortgage rates might be going in the future. And that will help you outside of course, asking the question to your loan officer, because I am not a lender. I'm a realtor, but I'm just, this is a field that I'm in, so I need to understand it in totality. I can't be, if someone comes up to me, which people do, how's the market going? How's things going? I can't be like, oh, well, I don't know. It's going great. No, I'm going to break it down to you because that's what I like to do. I like to break stuff down to people and, try to educate people if people want to hear it. But I know most people get tired of me, so they like, okay, they kind of tune out because I'll keep going. Oh, real estate. Oh, I love real estate. All right, so then you have the estimate value of what they think the home range is from 135 to 149. Again, like I tell people, a home price is whatever a buyer is willing to pay for it and whatever a seller is willing to accept. So it has to come to both parties have to agree mutually in order to get it done. So, but you'll never know if you don't offer the price that you feel like you're comfortable with, right? If you're not comfortable with it, you move on to the next to figure out where you need to be at. But okay, so it tells all that stuff in here. I like that stuff too. It's cool. But I'm going to go down to the part I really like on homes.com. All right, so on homes.com, again, you get the property history. So you get the similar thing, but as you can see, let me see. Sometimes it might say it all. Okay, it kind of says it all here, but Zillow, I think Zillow goes a little further down with the price history. Let me see. Because I think Zillow, or do they go? Because I think Zillow goes all the way back to 2005, and Homes.com only goes to 2015. So that's why I go back and forth between Zillow and Homes.com, because if I'm looking at the price history, Homes.com doesn't go as far back as Zillow does. So I like to look at that. Can y'all see this? I don't even know if I can see it because mine looks a little blurry. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Can y'all see this on the website? Because I'm talking, I don't even know if y'all can see it. All right. Okay. So now you get similar homes sold in the area. So they kind of show you other homes sold in the bigger picture. And so this is what I like about homes.com. Right here it says purchase history. This is where you get nosy. This is actually pulling from the public records. So it says we collect this data history from publicly available records. To have your information removed, we recommend requesting removal directly through your county's website. So if you're a seller and you don't like that this is popping up on this website, that people are in your business as far as the mortgage and how everything was taken in mortgage, blah, blah, then you got to go to the county's website and publicly remove this. If not, homes.com is getting all up in your business and exposing it to the consumer. So if you guys want to see this, you can on homes.com, and I'm going to show you again. But right here, which Zillow doesn't have, as you see, it says that in 2019, the property was purchased at $75,000, and it had the type of deed it took was a warranty deed. It shows again a warranty deed in 2015.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Oh, sorry. What is going on? Of course, ain't nothing. Siri ain't never popped up on my phone before. Now she want to scream. She don't understand. Sorry about that, you guys. So it shows that, and then right here in 2008, it shows. So right here, it goes all the way deep as far as 2005. So in 2008, it shows that it was foreclosed. It says foreclosure deed. So the person bought it as a foreclosure in 2008, and then but they bought it originally 2005 for $92,000, foreclosed 2008 $79,000, and then they did a special warranty deed. So it kind of gets a little further down. And then this is another part I like too, the mortgage history. So this is another thing I like about homes.com. Corey said, I like Zillow. Okay, you like Zillow. I'm trying to tell you, you need to look at both websites. You need to look at Homes and Zillow when you're looking at a home. Not every homes.com has all this in-depth history as far as the price history and the mortgage history. But some of these properties do on here. And it's also, it depends on the states too, because some states, they don't allow these websites to kind of go that far in depth and get this information. But I'm telling you, Zillow doesn't give you this. So if you want to go further in and you want to kind of start breaking stuff down, I'm telling you, if the state and the city or the county allows this information to be pulled from the public records, it'll let you in and give you some more insight before you even go see the house, and even before you even talk to the seller or the agent over the house. So right here, so it says mortgage history. Again, this was taken from public available records, and it tells you right here that when they closed, you see October 18, 1999, October 18, 2019, I'm sorry. So they closed with an FHA loan. So this is something else that tells you too that Zillow doesn't tell you what type of loan it closed with. They closed with an FHA loan. The person who bought it in 2005 closed with a conventional. And then it said it's a standalone second. So it looked like they took out a loan here. They look like they took out an additional loan. And then right here, this is a second mortgage too. So in 2019, they got an FHA. They bought it for $79,000. So they put about 3.5% down. So the loan started at $66,359 was the FHA. And then it looked like they took out a second mortgage to cover the down payment. So that's what this says here. It says second mortgage made to cover down payment. Like how Zillow's not going to give you this information, you guys. They're not going to give you this information. So they have an additional silent second mortgage on the house. So when they go to sell, and this is in Georgia. So Georgia at one time, a lot of people, and still people use, it's called a Georgia Dream Loan. I don't know if this is a Georgia Dream Loan, but I know that it is a second mortgage for the down payment, right? And in Georgia, if it is a Georgia Dream Loan, when you go to pay back Georgia Dream now, when you go to, sell your house, you got to pay back the money you borrowed from Georgia Dream unless you sell your house. I think it's unless you sell it for less or something. But no, the loan you still got to pay back even if you sell it for less. They have another thing called a recapture tax, which you don't have to pay back if it's sold for less, and if you don't make nothing on the property. So this is information you're not going to get on Zillow. This is why I like homes.com. Like I said, go back and forth between Zillow and homes.com, but you're not going to get this far depth information. You're not going to get what type of loan type it was. You're not going to get that this person has a silent second to cover the down payment. This is stuff that Homes is pulling from public tax records that people probably don't even realize is on these websites. But I'm giving y'all some game. This is some real estate secrets. I'm trying to let y'all know. I'm giving you guys some game. This is what I do all day. I be in everybody's business, which is bad. But okay, so that's homes.com compared to Zillow.com. Let me know your thoughts. I will get off of that so I don't bore you guys to death with homes.com. So if you're just joining the live, we talked about how to possibly predict mortgage rates if they're going up or down using the 30-year UMBS ticker along with the 10-year Treasury ticker. And we just explored the difference between using Zillow and homes.com. Both websites are wonderful to use. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Zillow when it comes to them creating like these estimates and all that stuff, because some of that information is incorrect. Because Zillow cannot get into the house. They don't know if the house has a hole in the wall, the floors are falling through, or the ceiling is falling through, right? So the estimates are typically off because they're based on houses selling, but they're not based on what the inside of the house looks like. So I'm not a fan of that. So when they give you that competitive price to offer or whatever, they can't do that. It's not good to kind of do that because, again, they don't know what the inside of the house looks like. But I know people kind of, they love Zillow. Like Corey said, he said, I like Zillow. So, all right. So after that, we talked about the UMBS. We explored Zillow, difference between Zillow, difference between using homes.com and Zillow. You guys let me know if you're just joining us now. Scroll back, watch the live. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you like the best, and whose business you want to be in. Like I said, I'm all up in y'all business. All right, now we're going to have it. So this was something that popped up too. It's a young lady that's on YouTube. Her name is Shelby Church. And I don't know if you guys know of her. Her and her sister, they're big YouTubers. They've been on YouTube for a long time. Her sister and her are she's in the LA market as a realtor, and her sister is in the Washington market as a realtor. And they do videos around real estate, but also vlogging their normal day life. And she had this conversation, which I always have this conversation as well, about real estate. And I don't never tell people not to get into real estate, because if it's something that you want to do, definitely explore that option. But I also have this conversation around real estate. So I figured, I was like, oh, it's so crazy. She's talking about stuff that I kind of talk about. And so I'm going to play it in a minute, and you guys let me know your thoughts. Geographic imaging services, or GIS by county online, helpful too. Okay, so as Alex said, how you doing, Alex, tonight? Thanks for joining us on Sunday. So he said the GSI is also a good website to use by the county online. It's a helpful tool. So thank you, Alex. So everybody, write that down as well. If you're on live tonight, or if you're watching the replay, you want to utilize as many tools as you can when you're trying to explore buying a home, moving into different places, understanding stuff. So thank you, Alex, for that. See, this is why I love having these lives, because we get so much information from every angle. So I appreciate you guys. I really appreciate everybody that joins us. All right, so let's listen to Shelby Church real quick, and I'll stop in between. You guys let me know your thoughts. She's basically talking about why she wouldn't recommend nobody to become a real estate agent, but she's making it very specific to like bigger cities.
Talk about why I do not recommend real estate.
Hold on, sorry guys.
Getting into real estate if you live in a major city like LA or New York.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna make I was making the speed a little quicker, but I'll make it slower because I didn't realize it was that quick. All right.
Or any expensive city, and I'll explain to you why. So the thing is, I've been doing it, I would say, more seriously since October, and I just had some clients who they were so close to getting a place. It is difficult in this city, and I'll tell you why. So one reason I don't really recommend real estate in LA specifically, or probably a lot of California cities, is because one, the transaction volume is pretty low. And if you are kind of closer to my age, if you're someone who's in their 20s or 30s.
So she said the reason why the transaction volume is lower in California is because the prices of homes are so expensive in California. So when you get into these cities like New York, California, and certain areas of smaller pockets, even now it's happening even like in Metro Atlanta and other big cities, metropolitan cities, where real estate is going up. It's appreciating. It appreciated so much in price points that now transactions are becoming slower because a lot of people cannot afford to purchase said real estate. So now you're waiting for a specific buyer to purchase that particular real estate, which is a smaller pool of buyers. So now you get lesser transactions, you get longer times. And she kind of talks about it in the video too, as we keep watching it. And it won't be a long video because she talks about it for like a good 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll get off of this video. But she'll also talk about the glamorization of what people have done with real estate. And so let's keep going.
Know that a lot of the transactions are actually done by people much older, like boomers, for example. Just the cost to buy here is quite high. And what I've noticed that real estate, it's easier to break into in cities where the cost to buy is lower because the average person can afford to buy. And the average person, they may not know an agent. Whereas here, many of the people who are buying and selling have already purchased before. Of course, there are some first-time buyers. Like I'm working with people, obviously, I probably have like 5 clients I'm working with, but I just think it's harder in this city because a lot of the people who are buying and selling, they already have an agent that they bought their house or sold their house with. Not to say that you can't.
So yeah, so like she stated too, like typically most of the people who own real estate are boomers. We are getting Gen Zers who bought real estate. We do have millennials and some Gen Xers and everybody who bought real estate, but typically you're getting more of a boomer population, right? Back in that time period when boomers bought real estate, they were told buy real estate. If you wanted, like say you had extra money, you wanted to lay your money somewhere, they would say buy real estate because real estate typically appreciates in value. So it's always great to lay it somewhere as far as an investment outside of a stock market, right? They felt like real estate was more of a safer spot to kind of lay money, and hopefully over time it's a slow equity, a slow gain, but it's a long-term gain and it would bring value. But of course, we did see in 2008, 7 through 8 through 9 through 10, we saw a recorrection of real estate. We saw a crash of the real estate market. And then we saw an inflated market come the pandemic, right? And so we went from a crash to all of a sudden this astronomical high where now real estate became overvalued. And so she's basically saying that boomers, typically they had an agent that they bought with or bought several homes with. So they already know that agent that they're going to buy the next home with or they're going to sell their homes with. And when you're in a city where prices are high, they will typically go back to someone they trusted before, then kind of explore new options of agents. And now, again, when you're in a city that has higher costs, you have a limited amount of first-time home buyers. So now you have lower transactions when it comes to newer agents coming into business. If that makes sense. Let me know your thoughts.
Crack into it, it's just harder. I think another thing is this city has a lot of real estate agents. This is like a city where people. And
so I'm gonna keep starting and stopping. And also, like she said, Los Angeles has a lot of real estate agents. Like people just get their license. Similar to Metro Atlanta now, we have a lot of real estate agents. My saying that I always say to people is when I walk outside my house, everybody and their mom is a real estate agent. I'll run in the park, the baby's a real estate agent. I'll look to my left, the dog is, I'm a real estate agent, right? Everybody has their license. And so because of that, you then see a massive amount of every time you're going out, you just bumping into somebody that has a real estate license and a real estate agent. And it doesn't mean that these people are effectively doing real estate transactions. It just means that they got their license, and they get their license for several different reasons, right? Some real estate agents that I met got a license for purposes of referring people. They just want to do referrals. They don't want to actually transact with real estate. So they'll get a referral fee from the real estate agent who transacts that closing or transaction, you say. You'll also get some real estate agents that'll get their license because maybe they were investors, right? Similar to like what I was doing with my friend. She was an investor and we were working together, right? So you get your license because you don't want to pay real estate commissions and fees to anybody else. You rather take it home with yourself. So then the investors will get their license. You'll also get some people that just hold on to a real estate license just to have one. We had several of them in my last brokerage that I was a part of, where some of these agents were flight attendants, they were pilots, they were doctors, and they just had a real estate license just to have a license. And they might transact when they bought a home or sold a home, or maybe their family member or their friend, right? And then you get agents who actually get a license who are transacting, actually doing real estate full time and really, understanding real estate, the market, what's going on. Alex said REI, yeah, the REIT. Yes, I have invested in some REITs as well, Alex. safer than buying individual homes. I definitely agree. I have invested in REITs. If you guys don't know what REITs are, we could talk about on another live if you want to. But I have invested in REITs. I'm actually looking to invest in some more REITs, and I want to invest in infrastructure REITs. And I want to also invest in, what's the other REIT I want to invest in? I didn't really want to explore the whole what's it, the one they call it a certain name when it's shopping centers and plazas. I didn't really want to explore that type of REIT because of malls not really kind of staying in business. They're kind of shifting to different spaces with them. But I definitely want to get money into infrastructure REIT. It's just that the infrastructure REITs nowadays, they're so, they're not expensive, but they're hundreds of dollars, because it would have made sense to invest in them probably in like the late 80s and 90s where it was like $20 a stock. But needless to say, but if you guys want to, we could talk about REITs. If you guys don't know what it is, real estate investment trust. All right. And you can invest in them. Thank you, Alex. Yes, a REIT. All right. Let's go back to
like to have unconventional jobs. There are actors that also have their real estate license. A lot of people just like get it sort of like I did initially, just to have it in case they want to buy something and not use an agent, or like their cousin has one, like that kind of thing. And then the shows like Selling Sunset, what else? Like $1 Million Listing have glamorized it and made a lot more people like want to do it and get into it, even though it's like obviously never as glamorous as like a TV show. But because of that, I think this city specifically, and really everywhere, has a lot more people wanting to be real estate agents than before. Like, think about it. 20 years ago, it wasn't a cool job to have. It was like, you kind of thought of it as like your mom's friend. Like, that's sort of how I thought of real estate. Like, my aunt was a real estate agent. That was like the stereotype. And now it is different. It's like something more people want to do. So of course it's like,
yes. So now real estate, like she says too, is glamorized. You have Selling Sunset, you have $1 Million Listing, and it make you believe that you're going to, and also the consumer believes it, but also people want to get their license believes it, that they're going to, especially, I know a lot of women thought about it too, like this, that you're about to go in this house, you're going to have these high heels on, you're going to have these tight dresses, and you're going to go and you're going to just show houses and say, hey, this is the house. And then you're just going to make money from it, right? Those shows like Selling Sunset, $1 Million Listing, they might say, oh, they'll show you, they'll flash on the screen, this how much the listing costs, they'll flash how much the possible commission could be, but then you don't even see them close on half of these properties on the show. I don't know if people are watching that or being mindful of that. And I know with Selling Sunset, because I kind of like to follow the season, because I like watching it. It's like, it's interesting. It's it's my quote unquote, it's my field per se. I say quote unquote field because it's TV too, right? I'm not in the TV field, but that is TV. But it talks about real estate. However, I remember when Selling Sunset probably come their 6th season, I think, they said, we finally sold the house. It took us 5 years to sell it. So for 5 years, they had a house listed that they showed on the 1st or 2nd season, then get it sold to the 6th or something season of the show. So it's like people probably didn't take that in because they just see like this glamorous lifestyle. But I tell people, these TV shows, these are people also funneling money through the TV show. So they have different sources of income. They're making money on a reality TV show now. They're making money when it comes to becoming social media influencers, right? Because now, because of these shows, they get big popularity. They're on Netflix, they're streaming all over the world. They're getting a different consumer base too, right? You're getting international clients, you're getting local clients, and people see this glamorization of lifestyle. And so they're getting a pocket of money from the show, a pocket of money from social media, advertising, brands, any type of thing. And then they're also getting a pocket of money whenever they close real estate. Again, if you guys really sit and listen to these Selling Sunset conversations, you'll hear what some of them say. They'll say, I didn't even close a house this year. And most real estate agents haven't closed houses. If you even look at the data or the statistics within the last couple of years, you have agents who don't sell no houses. You have most agents about 70% make less than $30,000 a year for real estate. So this is some things that I think, because it has become over glamorized, that people are not realizing the truth about real estate field, real estate agents, the picture behind what you see on TV or online. So we'll keep talking, see what Shelby has to continue to say. Donna said, wow. Yeah, yes, you'll be very surprised, Donna. And the reason why it took them 5 years to sell that, because that is expensive real estate, right? If you have a house that's $125 million, that's a smaller pool of a consumer who can buy it. Everyone that's living in the world, I should say, not even just America, but the world, cannot say I can go and purchase a $125 million house. whether if you pay it in cash or whether if you do get a jumbo loan to help you secure it, you got to put a certain percent down because the jumbo loans want you to put a certain percentage of money down as a down payment to secure a house as hefty as that purchase price. So because of that, you will get those higher price point homes, depending on the area that you're in, that will sit for several years. I don't know if you guys even seen Michael Jordan's house. I was following that too. He bought a house in Chicago, and his house sat on the market for years. I'll pull it up after we finish watching her so you guys can see it. So his house sat on the market for years. I think it might have been 10 or 12 something years before it sold. So, and he went through several different agents because sometimes the seller thinks, or the consumer, which is the seller, thinks that, oh, my agent's not doing anything great for me. You can't sell my house. And that's why when I go sit down with sellers, I never promise them, now I'm gonna get your house sold tomorrow. No one can promise you that they can make something happen the next day. No one can promise you, even if you're on the buyer side, that if you put an offer, you're going to get the house. If people are making those promises, you guys should be very leery if someone's telling you. That's almost like if you go to them and they be like, hey, if you join this program or you come with me, you put 10,000 in, I can give you 100,000 tomorrow. We can't make those promises. If you go to a doctor's office, they don't make promises. You go to a lawyer, they don't make promises to you. They're very like, they can't put that out there, right? So I tell people, just be very, mindful. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Let me just keep going.
It's more competitive and harder because there's only so many transactions that are going to be done a year, Someone on the team that I was on last had done so many transactions in this town that he lived in before, which was like a Midwestern town where the cost of living is, a lot lower. It's more attainable for people to buy. He would sell like 30 or more houses a year, but he moved here and he was like, oh shit, like this is not going to work. And he ended up moving out of LA because it's just like a lot harder, basically. I think even where Monica does in Seattle, that's such a good relocation market. People will get a job in Seattle and they will buy immediately because it actually is a good city to like place roots. Whereas LA, people relocate here, but they'll.
So that's another thing, right? As far as she's saying, you might see more transactions if you're in a state or a city where people tend to relocate frequently, just like how people used to see so many people relocating as they got a little older to Florida, right? They would see Florida was a market where as you got older, you would kind of shift down there if that's where you wanted to be. You're in a more nicer state, probably weather-wise per se, but you also are avoiding, I believe, is it state taxes or some type of tax that you don't have to pay in Florida. So people shift. And I think it's about like 5 or 6 other states that you don't have to pay state taxes into. I think Texas might be one too. That's probably why their property taxes are so high. Don't take my word by it because I don't know. I'm just thinking, I think it is, but anyway, that's why you would kind of see people shift. So certain states you would see more of a bigger transaction, but now people are shifting or not making moves to Florida because of everything that's going on. But then you'll see, like she says, in cities like LA, even people that are coming to the Metro Atlanta area now, they're renting because of the unaffordability. So they're not buying straight away. They're not able to do so
for like the whole time that they live here. Yeah, obviously it's not impossible. It's never impossible, but I do think that it's harder. It's not something I like super recommend. Like personally, I'm glad that I have like content as well that I do. And yeah, but at times it is fun. At times it is frustrating. Like I have like so far I've made like $10,000 in real estate. Like that's it. That's the reality of it. It's one of those things it's really not.
With her saying, and this is the reality, like she stated on this camera, because I think sometimes people think that I kind of, sometimes I talk to people about real estate, they're like, I don't think that's true. You just don't want me to be a real estate agent. I'm like, no, the reality is that real estate agents, unless you're that smaller 10%, you're not making a lot of money. So like I stated here, she's a big YouTuber. She has over 1 million subscribers. Her sister has over 1 million subscribers. And like she stated, she's glad that she does social media as well because a lot of her pocket of income comes from social media. And she loves real estate. She got into real estate to help people with real estate. But as she stated here, she's only paid $10,000. And I believe she's had a real estate license now for 4 years. This is the reality, you guys. This is the secrets that everyone doesn't want you to know in real estate. This is what the people are not telling you. And that's why I appreciated her on YouTube and her having this conversation, which made me want to have this conversation with you guys outside of telling you those other secrets with, Zillow, the mortgage rates and all that stuff too. Because in reality, because outside of the glamorization that you see on the social media, on these TV shows, the reality is that most people in real estate do not make a lot of money. And so I'm also, because I'm in the business and because I know what my income looks like, I'm just like, when I see people that are online and I'm like, and they're driving in Bentleys and all this stuff, and I'm not saying that they can't afford it because like I said, there's a small percentage of people who can live that lifestyle in real estate. But I'm always like, yeah, okay, let me, and then I go, like I said, I'm nosy. So then I go and I look, let me see how many sales they made this year. I'm like, they made one sale. I'm like, what else are they doing? Because they cannot afford this Ferrari. But like, I ain't no hater. Don't call me a hater because
A get rich quick kind of thing. The people who are making a lot of money in it are the ones who have done it for like 5-10 years and who have a referral business. It's all about the long game. I don't know. I think the third thing is I just saw a video about a guy who sold his house using AI. I mean, who's to say more discount brokerages aren't going to come in, people using ChatGPT instead of like the advice of an agent? I feel like that could become more of a thing.
And that's another thing she's stating too. People are shifting to transaction brokers. So it does mean less business for other agents in the business who might ask for a certain percentage commission wise. I always tell people you get what you pay for, right? In some instances, you might do well with a transaction broker or maybe a 1% broker. In some situations, you might feel a little bit more frustrated with that type of broker. But then also it could be vice versa too. You might get an agent or a broker that asks for 3%, 2%, and at the end of the day, or maybe more, because some people ask for more. But and they still might be not the best, right? Because what I tell people too, what you also have to look at in real estate, right? Because a lot of real estate agents will tell you that it's always great to go with agents who are closing millions and millions and millions of houses a year. And I tell people, no, you want an agent who has made transactions. You don't want an agent who hasn't made transactions. And if they are a new agent, if they're with a mentor or a team, they're still great because they have a great solid person around them. You can look up who the team that they're on, the mentor that they have. You can ask them, say, hey, are you a newer agent? They say, yes. Have you made any transactions? No. Or do you have a mentor? If they say, yes, I have a mentor. If they say, I'm on a team, you say, yes, I'm on a team. And then you can say, well, what's the name of the team? What's the mentor's name? Then you can look up the team or the mentor name. You can see the transactions that were had. So then you know that they're a solid agent using great advice with their team if they're newer. So don't cut out the new person because the new person is just as hungry. It might be more hungry than a person that's been in for 30 years. Because once you get in for 30 plus years, sometimes your hunger kind of shifts and it's more of like, okay, like, you created a credibility, which is great. But then sometimes it also creates a sense of laziness. I've noticed that in this business, that some people who have been in it, because I've only been in it 10 years outside of just doing physical real estate, but also helping, like I said, doing stuff with a friend as far as investment. But you also see, that people who have been in it longer can kind of get into the sense of being lazy. And so you got to just be mindful, have to really look around everything, understand everything. Because just because they have, let's just say this agent, like, yeah, I have 30 listings active on the market right now. You have to then think to yourself, well, if you have 30 listings, I'm going to be 31. Are you going to have the time? It depends on you as a person, right? Do you want an agent that keeps you updated, keeps you abreast of what's happening in the market, notifies you when people are seeing your house, does things that works towards you and what you ultimately want in your experience with an agent? Or you just want an agent that looks at you as a number and says, hey, yeah, I have 30 listings right now. You're going to be my 31 listing. And they're looking at a number game, right? They're looking at, I have 30 listings. If one or two close this month, I'll make my money, go on to the next. If they expire, they withdraw, I don't care because I got other 30 listings. So you have to understand the psychology. You have a lot of agents who will stack a lot of listings, but the sense of that is because they want quantity over quality, right? Yeah, quantity over quality. And they might not give you as much needed time or effort outside of just putting it online, putting it on MLS and keeping it moving. Or do you want an agent that say, yeah, I have one listing right now, or I have two clients right now, and you feel like they can give you more of that time or, that you need in working together with them. Alex said, pretentious lifestyle. Yes, very pretentious. Like I tell you guys, I'm trying to be debt free. So I don't want to live no pretentious lifestyle. I don't care what the next person look like next to me. I'll show up with my little hat on. And of course, I don't show up raggedy at a showing. I'll show a hat on, make sure I have a nice shirt on and nice pants on, because I don't want to look crazy looking at a listing. But I'm not going to step out the car with Louis Vuitton belt on, Gucci shades, and ride a Bentley or Maserati to the showing. Ain't nobody doing all that. You're going to get me come up in my Honda that now, because the daggone tired and popped up on the road and hit my daggone front of my bumper, now I got a crack on it. So unfortunately, I'm gonna come there with my crack on my bumper. It is what it is, you guys. It's called the real agent. But at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure I take care of you and make sure you get a great experience, and make sure it's done correctly. So beware of lowball agents who has a tax estimate due. Yes, That's another one. Thanks, Alex. He said, beware of the lowball agents who have a tax estimate due. Yes. Want to beware of those type of agents too. Beware of I call them commission breath. Beware of agents who have commission breath as well. Agents who just look at you as a paycheck. You know, you want an agent who, if you're going to work with a real estate agent, you want an agent who is actually going to take care of you and help you through the process. You want an agent that's going to work for you. This is a job. This is a job, you guys. It's not a it's not a hobby. It's a job. Listing agents are like musical chairs, as one who is holding the listing when music stops wins. Yeah, you never know, right? You never know what a listing agent, similar to what you're kind of saying, I use as far as your analogy, you could get it. Say you put your house up in 2008, but it doesn't sell until 2011, and you went through 7 agents, but just so happened that 2011, that 7th agent, it was just the right time. It just happened. Like, you don't know when it's going to happen. It just happened to be the right time, 2011, and that agent in 2011 ain't do nothing different from the agent 2008, unless the agent 2008 just didn't want to work. I don't know, but typically it's not nothing new. So like, even when I as agents, we also cold call people. So I cold call people as well every now and then. I don't do it a lot because I am thankful that people reach out to me from YouTube. They give me a call, they send me an email, and I appreciate working with people from YouTube. I just helped a client from YouTube a month ago. 2 months ago, sorry, close on a house. And we actually have been working together for 2.5 years. We were working together for 2.5 years. He reached out to me 2.5 years ago on YouTube, and we were working together ever since then. So it does take time. There was times where, he sat on the sideline, and I'm okay with that. I don't force people into buying nothing. I don't force people into selling nothing. Take your time. This has nothing to do with me. This has everything to do with you. You're going to pay this. You're going to sell this. This is your money. It ain't my money. I'll get a piece of it, through the transaction, but it's not my money. But yeah, so he took 2.5 years, and we finally found something that he was able to close. So, it is what it is. Donna said, Donna loves work. Alex said, try Bono for car. Okay, I never heard of that. Bondu. Sorry, Bondu. I never heard of Bondu. Try Bondu. Bondu. Sorry, I said Bondu. Jesus. Bondu. Sorry, for a car. What's Bondu? I don't know. I gotta look that up. Facts. All right, so let's finish this video real quick. Sorry, y'all. I'm just rambling in my mouth.
There are discount brokerages that'll do, they'll be a buyer's agent for like 1.5% commission, for example. Are they as good? I don't really know. I've never used one. Maybe. I'm not going to knock it. If I knew how much time and effort and just time wasted, like people really waste your time, I probably wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have pursued it. Maybe I would have just doubled down on content, But I mean, real estate can be fun. Other thing that people don't talk about is it is not a respected job. Like, people are dying for realtors to go away. Like, all the comments on the AI video, the guy who used AI to sell his house.
And so the guy who used AI to sell his house, I looked into that. He actually owns an AI company. So it was almost like he was marketing his AI company. And I found the house that he said he sold. He didn't sell the house, y'all. It was all a lie. So we got to be careful too, again, about social media, this is media, you guys. It's about storytelling. Before I did get into real estate, you guys know I used to be in the entertainment industry as well. However, I'm not in it no more. I jump in it here and there, but I'm not in it no more. But if like a friend or somebody needs some help, I'll jump into it and I'll work with them on some things. But yeah, it's all about telling a story. It's all about making you go where they want you to go. So that story with the AI guy talking about selling his house with AI and all that stuff. When I read the full article, he owns an AI company. He was using his AI services, and he wanted to kind of show people how it could sell a house for you. So what he really did is he just implemented that into the system, and it gave him like a marketing plan and how he can go about selling it. But when I looked at the house, because like I said, I like to do my research. So I looked the guy up. I knew it was in Florida. I looked up the house that he said he sold. He didn't sell the house. The house did not transact. So got to be very careful. What social media and what media tells us is some lies, y'all, some lies.
Everyone's like, good. This is one job I'd be glad for AI to take. And I mean, I get it. So these are just the things I've noticed. I do think real estate, it's like a little easier if you just live somewhere where it's easier to break into if you live somewhere where the cost of living is more affordable, or the cost.
All right, so we'll stop. Thank you, Shelby. So if you guys want to dive into her content, like I said, wonderful content creator. She's been on YouTube longer than me, so her and her sister are the queen of real estate. So let me pull up Michael Jordan's house real quick if I can find it again. Let me see. Michael Jordan, and I think we can go through the property history and see when it's so Michael Jordan, and then we are going to jump off of here. So hopefully I gave you guys some secrets tonight about everyone needs to know in real estate. If not, we'll also while I'm looking for his house, I'll talk about foreclosures, because I did mention that we would talk about foreclosures. So if you're trying to purchase a foreclosure, let's say Michael Jordan house that sold in Chicago, Illinois. If you are trying to purchase a, here it is right here. If you're trying, because I had to get the address, sorry y'all. If you're trying to purchase a property through a foreclosure, every place is different as far as how they work the process. And I made a video about it. So in Georgia, if you're trying to buy a property in foreclosure, you have to come with the cash to the courthouse steps. You cannot just show up and then need to go and run to an ATM or a bank to get the cash. So you want to bring increments of small cashier's checks to the courthouse steps. What is going on here? This is wrong. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to figure out what they did here, because I'm looking at Michael Jordan's house. Okay, hold on. Oh, they're renting it out? They're renting his house out. They bought this house and now they're renting it out. It's some crazy work. Let me show y'all. I'm over here talking. This is why I got to get my life together. I'm going on tangents. Y'all got to let me know. Let me know when I go on tangents. Smack me back to reality. Alex said AI good at writing property description. It sure is. That sure is, Alex. I use AI. So I'll write the description for listings and then I'll throw it in AI to kind of make it more refine it, make it well crafted, make it a little bit smoother than what I wrote. But it definitely is great for property descriptions. As an agent, if you abide by the fair housing rules, there are certain words or certain things that we are not supposed to say in listings. However, a lot of agents still say it. We're not supposed to say like step into this beautiful house, right? Because everybody might not be able to step. We might have people who are in wheelchairs. So you're supposed to say, you have to describe it somewhere else. Or some people say, come and see this great see these beautiful views or whatever. And also everybody might not be able to see. You might have blind people. So there's certain like descriptive words according to fair housing that we shouldn't be using, but people use it anyway. But it is what it is. Always great information. No problem, Lang. No problem. I'll be trying to give y'all information. 1.5% is discount broker, as transaction broker is even cheaper. Yes. So again, like she stated in the video, you have different type of brokerages. You have a transaction broker, you have a discount broker. So it just depends on how you want to go. At one time, I don't know if they still do it. I think Redfin was like 1%. If you use Redfin, they were 1%. So everybody has a different model. So it just depends on what. And then you have some brokerages and some agents that give you flat fees where it might be like $99 a month to list, or it might be like, $500 to list for 5 months or something. So everybody has a different way of how they work. Lang said, are all foreclosures always cash sales? So no, every state has their different thing when it comes to foreclosures. That's why I say you have to be. So this is what I tell people, because I realize this is a trend that happens on social media, is that somebody will say, oh, I went and I did this, or like I went and I did the foreclosure and I did this, or I went and I bought land and I built this and I did this and I did that. And meanwhile, this person, let's just say, lives in Minnesota, but you live in, let's say, New York. So the same thing that person did in Minnesota, you might not be able to do in New York. The same way they transact as far as foreclosures might not be the same. So like in Georgia, we're a state where you have to bring cash to the auction. And New York, I don't know how their auctions work, but I think in Philly, it was this young lady that I know that was in Philly. She said that at the time when she was doing auctions, that all she had to do, if the property was, let's say, $5,000, all she had to do was just pay $500 right there at the auction. And then she could come back within a certain amount of days and pay the rest. So every state and how they do their auctions and things work differently. That's why I tell people you got to be very specific to where you're at, the county that you're in. And yeah, it's great to be inspired by how people buy things or different stuff or whatever. But at the end of the day, you got to understand what's very specific to your area. Oh, what's going on, Jay Inclusive? Everyone, smash that like button, hype the video, and share across your social media platforms. Yes, please hit the like button, hype the video, share across your social media platforms. I truly, truly appreciate it. Appreciate it. We are trying to get the channel monetized, y'all. I am not monetized yet. Everybody asks me, "Are you monetized?" No, I am not monetized. I literally come on here and we have a great time. We chat, and I don't get paid to do it. This is basically, I'm on here. I'm not monetized, y'all. Alex said, I live in black blanks and word black is profitable, even though name for Riverbank, which is black. Okay. So you said it was prohibited. I said profitable, Jesus. Prohibitive. Okay. So that particular word is prohibited in your area. Okay. Which makes sense. It's different. Like you said, like different descriptive words are prohibited, right? Lang said, are foreclosures viewable to the public before purchasing? Yes. So it just depends on where you are. So there's a site called auction.com. So auction.com typically has most of the foreclosures, unless these foreclosures are being auctioned on the courthouse steps. And if they're being auctioned on courthouse steps, you have to then go to your local county, or I don't know. Sometimes they'll have it online. Like in Georgia, they have it online where you can just go to the county. You can type like foreclosure auctions, tax auctions. Let's just say, and let me see. I'll do it real quick. Okay. Before I get off topic, y'all, let me go. I'm gonna come back to this lane. I'm gonna come back. So let's look at Michael Jordan's house, because now I'm going on a tangent. I'm like, I told y'all we will do Michael Jordan's house, then we'll go foreclosures, and then I'm gonna get out of here. So Michael Jordan's house right here. So I can show y'all how long it took to sell, so y'all can see what I mean by these big properties that cost a lot of money take a long time to sell. So they originally listed his house. Let's see how many times. Let's see. I don't know if they have the whole history here. So no. So okay, it went all the way down to. Okay, so they originally listed his house in 2012, Michael Jordan's house in Chicago. Then they changed the price. Then they changed the price again. Then they changed the price again in 2015. So 2012, 2015, that's 3 years now. Changed the price again, went from 24 million, was at 16 million, went up to 24 million, went back down to 16 million. Changed the price again, 14 million. Went contingent right here in 2015, he took the home off the market, put it back on the market in 2024. So he changed agents, put it back on the market in 2024, and it sold in 2024. So how many years is that? So 2012, let's do the math. What's that, 12 years, I think? 2012, I think it's 12 years. I'm over here doing math, but I think I'm right. Let me make sure, because I don't want to. Yeah, 12 years. So it took 12 years to sell Michael Jordan's house. So whoever the real estate agent is on this, the first real estate agent didn't make a dime, and it took 12 years later for this real estate agent. So this is the stuff that people are not saying in real estate. These big high purchase home prices take years to sell. Years. And some of these agents will invest like high marketing, like in houses like this, like Michael Jordan's house, like the marketing was like top quality. Like when I saw the marketing, I don't know if it's still on here, but these are some of the pictures. They still got his pictures here. 23 at the gate. These are like, look how pretty these pictures are. Like very well. They're kind of gritty now because they sold the house, so they kind of took them all the pictures off. But it was like a lot of pictures on here. It was like high quality video, all this stuff, because you're selling this illustrious house, this big house, right? It's Michael Jordan's house. So yeah, so that is when it comes to real estate. And then we're gonna do Lang stuff about the foreclosures, and I'm gonna get off here so I don't be here all night. With name of the neighborhood. Okay, so that was the name of the neighborhood, Black Banks. Okay, so you guys are prohibited of even the word black. So that makes sense. Like I said, the descriptive languages. Clark, you got me laughing. Love your honesty. I try to be honest, I know, like, so what they used to call me at my last brokerage before I moved to this new brokerage, they used to call me the blow up agent. They was like, you know how to blow up your own deal. They was like, you'll have a deal, but then you'll go in and you'll be so honest with people. You'll be like, look over there, the floor is tilting, or you'll get a home inspector that'll be honest with people, and then the deal will terminate. Like I have a client right now. We were in under contract. and the seller was not doing, the things that they said they need to do. Like, it's on a septic tank. The septic tank needs to be pumped. When they sent over the property disclosure, it stated that the septic tank hadn't been pumped since 2009. No, we need to dig the septic tank up and we need to pump the septic tank. We need to look at the septic tank. Septic tanks cost a lot of money. We make sure it's not cracked, make sure all this stuff. And she didn't want to do that. And then also, she still didn't turn the utilities on. Ain't nobody buy no house with no utilities on. We don't know what's functioning and what's not functioning. So yeah, so the deal is being terminated tomorrow. It just is what it is. We're not gonna let people buy houses. That don't make sense. Come on now, y'all. We're not doing that over here. Alex said, "What if I live in brown or white banks?" That's true, right? What if you live in those different banks? Be like, how can it, or red or yellow? Exactly. So that's the musical chairs. Yes, it's just it's definitely musical chairs. It's definitely like tit for tat, or the word analogy, potato. But fair housing depends on, and it really just pertains to like real estate agents. If you're doing it yourself, selling it yourself, the general public, you can write whatever you want to write. If you're doing for sale by owner, if you're using a transaction broker that you're just utilizing their resources to put your stuff on MLS, and you write whatever, and if they say you have to write this stuff or whatever, you can do it because you're not a real estate agent, so you'll be all right. But when it comes to real estate agents, we have certain things that we should be saying or doing. All right, now let me show Lang stuff real quick, and then I will let you guys go. And again, if you just joined us now, I appreciate you guys being here. Always great having conversations with you guys live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. What am I saying? If you just jumping on now, we talked about how to possibly predict mortgage rates in the future outside of using a loan officer, but it's always great to talk to a loan officer. But you can look at the 10-year treasury and the UMBS using mortgagedailynews.com. You can download the app on your phone if you want to keep abreast to where mortgage rates could possibly go, or you could also go online. And then we also compared the difference between using Zillow and homes.com when looking at a property. I suggest you guys use both platforms because both platforms gives you similar information, but also homes.com is a little bit more in depth, but Zillow is more user friendly sometimes. So I suggest using both as a consumer if you're not a real estate agent. Even if you are a real estate agent and you're new to the real estate game, or even if you're one that's been in the game for a long time, use both of those websites. Outside of course, if you're an agent using the MLS and all those other things. And then we just got finished talking about having a conversation with Shelby Church around real estate, the industry, the truth about real estate agents. And now we're going to dive into foreclosures real quick, and we're going to get up on out of here. Donna said, do the houses in McDonough, Georgia have basements? Yes, you have some houses in McDonough, Georgia that has basements. So Georgia is not a state that has a lot of homes with basements. Lately, we have been seeing more houses being built with new builders that they kind of do the basements. But I know a lot of people, especially up north, they'll come to Georgia and they're like, because a lot of northern homes typically have basements. And because my home that I lived in, that I grew up in, had a basement, and my mom's home had a basement. Yeah. So most of the homes I grew up in had basements in the north. And so, a lot of people like to have a basement. But yeah, so Georgia and in McDonough, there are homes that have basement. It's sometimes few and far between, but you do get some. And typically in Georgia, what happens with basements is that most basements, when they're built out from new builders or even back in the day, they typically don't finish the basement. They'll frame it, but they don't finish it. So most buyers will go in once they buy the house and they'll finish the basement. So if you see a basement that has been fully finished and framed and is livable, typically that buyer who bought the home finished the basement. So because when they built homes in Georgia, they don't really, if they have basements, they don't frame the basements. They just leave it on studs, which is crazy, but that's what they do. All right, so Lang, this is for you as far as if you want, when the question that you asked in regards to are foreclosures viewable to public before purchasing? So yes, you can go to auction.com. They'll show some foreclosures. I really wanted a young lady to come on here. I don't know if you guys know her name, but her name is Ashley Pickings, and she deals with foreclosures. I've been trying to get her on my live with me, but I think because I have a smaller amount of subscribers, people don't want to come on my live with me because I'm not a big YouTuber yet. But I'm like, it's hard for me, like even when I like uploading videos on YouTube, as you guys know, last week I said I was going to upload a video. It's hard because since I'm a working real estate agent and because I work, it's hard for me to really do like a bunch of videos. So and that's why I kind of schedule time. Similar to like Jackie and Jen, we kind of and also David, we kind of like schedule times to jump on YouTube, go live, and then also they're better than me. I need to work on it, but they literally schedule a time to have one video come out a week that they kind of do beforehand. And it's just, me, I'm just bad at it, so I apologize, y'all. But yeah, so then you can go on auction.com to look at some of these houses that might pop up, or before auctions, you can go here. Or you can also go to, let's go to a county real quick. You can go to, let me see what county might pop up. It's better. Let me put Fulton County. So I'm gonna do Georgia real quick. Fulton County. I'm gonna say foreclosure list. Foreclosure list. Hold on. Here it is right here. So I'm gonna share with y'all. So if you have every county, like I say, every state, every county is different. But so this is Georgia. This is in Fulton County. So it's like Atlanta, this towns that fall in Fulton. You know, Alpharetta, some part of Alpharetta, Johns Creek, blah, blah, blah. Let me see. If no basement, storm cellar for tornadoes. We don't have storm cellars for tornadoes. It might be some people that might have built those things, because one thing I realized about Georgia is that people, and most people, they're like, this is my house, this is my land, and then they just start building everything, everything or anything on the land. And sometimes they'll, you know, somebody will come through in the county and they're like, you cannot build that. And then they hit with all these work stop permits and you can't do this. And they're like, what the? This is my land, this is my property. And I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. Here we go, Lord. Jesus, I know they did that to my friend. I felt so bad. He was trying to change his carport into a garage, and the people from the county drove around. He's in Georgia, in Chamblee. And they drove around, baby, and they saw that carport being built, and they put that work stop order on his thing so quick. And he had already submitted a permit, but it hadn't gone through yet. But you had to submit a permit to turn the carport into a garage. And you know, he's like, well, it's my property. I'm like, yeah, but just depends on the county, the state, what you live in. You got to do it. But anyway, okay. So the foreclosures outside of auction.com, there's other websites you can find foreclosures on as well. But in your county, you might be able to do this too. So right here, it tells you like August 4th. So this is the next time that it'll be an auction down in Fulton County. It was August 4th, which our auctions every first Tuesday of each month. And we have auctions. And you can click here. And did it share on your screen? Okay, yeah. And so you click here in Georgia. If you don't, these are the ones that's going to be sold. Oh, crap. What am I doing? Something just did something to my. I think something just downloaded something. But these are the ones that sold on the courthouse step, and these are the ones sold by the attorneys or like the local auctioneers outside of auction.com. So these ones might not come up on auction.com, but these are the houses that are possibly going up for auction come August 4th. So in Georgia and Fulton County, you can just go to the Fulton County website. You can type in, if you want to, Fulton County Sheriff's Office, Fulton County foreclosure liens, tax liens, or whatever. Like it says right here, delinquent tax liens and judicial foreclosure sale list. So this has the tax liens and the foreclosure. So right here, this is the tax lien list. So these are all houses that are up for sale for tax liens. So that means in August, you'll have all these possible houses go up for sale for tax liens. And you know what I end up doing is I'll take the address, and then I'll go into the tax records, and I'll see how much the liens that they didn't pay for them, like how much the possible tax sale might be. Or you can call down to the county too and just ask them. And then right here you get the foreclosures. So the foreclosure list started. So this is actually a big list of tax liens. So if you're in Fulton County, shoot, you might be able to get a house if these people paid. If these liens are actually, oh my God, I know this address right here. Ooh, I know this person. I know this person. These addresses right here too. I know where this is at. I know where this is at. This is like some of these. I know exactly where all these addresses is at. This is in what you call neighborhood. Ooh, I'm gonna look at these after I get off this live, y'all. Now I'm being nosy. See, y'all got me being nosy now. This is why I can't get on these websites, because then I go down a rabbit tunnel and I be in. But I know these addresses. I know all like 10 of those addresses right there, and I know what neighborhood they're in. And I called one of these sellers off this list, or one of these people off this list, and I didn't know that they butt was in the text. Had some tax liens. I know where this is at too. Ooh, this is where what you call is at. Oh, I know this one too. So anyway, I'm being nosy now. But yeah, so you can do that too, Lang, depending on your county, where you're at. So I'm gonna X off that screen. So that's another way to see stuff as far as the foreclosure. So they are publicly viewable before purchasing. You can take the list, go down to your local office, the county, get the list, and then go and see these houses, see where they're located at. Of course, you can't get into the house. You can walk around the house. You can look at the neighborhood. If the window's open, shoot, maybe you do just open the window and walk in. I don't know. Shoot, at this point, who cares? If ain't nobody living in the house and ain't no squatter in there, shoot, open that window and walk through the window. What they say, you can't get through the front door, climb through a window. But yeah, so you can definitely do that as well. But but needless to say, hopefully, I don't know what I just did, y'all. I can't even get off the thing. Why is this not going? I think it just locked me from doing something. I don't know what's going on, y'all. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us this Sunday night. Hopefully you guys appreciate the time. I appreciate you guys being here, spending time with me. I cannot. Okay, there we go. It wasn't letting me do it. Lang said, okay, great, thanks. No problem, no problem. Yeah, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. Thanks for joining me on this Sunday Night Live. I appreciate your time that you spend with me on Sunday here. Again, everybody, I appreciate everybody who has reached out to me wanting to, work with me as far as when it comes to real estate. I truly appreciate it. So I want to give a shout out to everybody because from the emails to the phone calls, I appreciate you guys. And yeah, if you ever have any questions, need any information, you can reach me. I'll put my number up here. Everything's acting crazy. I can't even switch over, y'all. I don't know why. I probably can't put my number up here. My thing's not letting me click on stuff no more. So at the end of the day, y'all, all right, this has been a Sunday, but I will talk to you guys next Sunday. Hopefully I can click off the end stream, or they might have me on here. I might be doing a live stream 24 hours like Kai Sinet or whatever, because nothing's working now. But thank you for coming. And again, like the video, click the hype button if you see the shooting star below us after the video goes off. And I will see you guys next Sunday if they allow me to click off this stream, which they're not allowing me to do. Y'all might have me here all night. It's not allowing me to do anything. I don't know what's going on. I'm using StreamYard. Okay, I don't know what's happening, y'all. I don't know what's happening. I can't go. It's not letting me go. But all right, let me see. Why is it not letting me click anything? Hold on. Oh, you know why? Sorry, y'all. This is what happens, see? When you're on. It got me. Oh, here. Close profile. Let's see. No, cancel. This is what happens, y'all, when I click something and now I can't click on anything on my screen. There we go. All right. I will see y'all next Sunday. I got it now. Take care. Bye-bye.